Is Mark McCloskey and his wife Patricia. You may recall in the St. Louis, Missouri area, they were charged with several crimes, felonies, for brandishing guns at a crowd of protesters who were in their neighborhood. Mr. McCloskey, you came here to support Kyle Rittenhouse. Tell us how you're feeling right now.
Well, no, I think it's a great day for America. It's a great day for individual liberty. It's a great day for the Second Amendment. We came out here to show support for Kyle Rittenhouse. We had seen the videos from the get-go. We had recognized that this was a young man who, exercising just remarkable composure under really dire circumstances, had defended himself and done nothing more. And we wanted to be here to see justice done, to see whether or not this jury could render a verdict based on the evidence and based on the really complicated set of instructions that Judge Schroeder gave them, despite the threats that they had to have heard from the courthouse steps all week. I mean, there was an endless stream of really direct threats. And you got to feel for the jurors sitting back there in the jury room, hearing those threats and thinking about how they weigh the life of one young man against the effect on their city if they find a not guilty verdict. And the fact that they were able to separate those issues out, and they had the courage to render a verdict based on the evidence without being intimidated by the media and without being intimidated by the mob. I just can't say enough words of respect for this jury.
Over the last few days, since Monday, when we've spoken to you and your wife, you said that you had not yet met Kyle Rittenhouse.
No, still have not.
Still have not?
No.
Have you been in touch with his family at all?
I have not, although I sure would like to.
Okay. Did you watch the verdict, on your phones, or were you at your hotel room, or what?
No, in fact, we were standing out here being interviewed when we heard the verdict, but I've heard it described to me that Kyle is standing up when the verdict's getting read, and as each count is read and the not guilty verdict is announced, that he got weaker and weaker and weaker in the knees and finally had to be supported by his lawyer. And I totally understand that. I mean, this has got to have been the most stressful day in this young man's life.
And he collapsed after about the final not guilty verdict. Patricia McCloskey, what would you like to say about this? You and your husband both were charged with several crimes. You ended up pleading guilty to misdemeanors. The pictures of both of you, the videos, are famous now of you standing on your porch and, displaying your guns, brandishing them, whatever the language is. And you pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor and were pardoned.
Very low misdemeanor. Very low misdemeanor, almost the lowest misdemeanor that there is. And we, like Kyle's case, are still being haunted by people saying things that protesters are, our neighborhood, and nobody. It was just people walking by on the way to the mayor's house. None of that is true. These people were threatening. They broke down a gate. They're threatening to rape me, kill the dog, burn down our house, kill us. I mean, it was a terrible, terrible 17, 18 minutes that happened to us. I can't imagine what Kyle has had to experience, but they will still continue to say things about him the rest of his life. And the mainstream media will still continue to say things as if he's a vigilante, that he's set out to hurt people.
Half the country, I don't know if it's half the country, but, this is such a polarized nation. So I'm just guessing here. Half the country is upset by this verdict. Half the country, maybe a little more than half, is happy about the verdict and thinks it's the right verdict. What kind of message does this send, though, do you think, about people, being armed with firearms? And, guns are endlessly debated in this country. So what message does this send? Because there are a lot of people who think that he started this and agree with the prosecution's argument. Obviously, the jury has spoken, and they believe he acted in self-defense.
Well, I'm hoping that the people will respect the verdict of the jury, and I hope that to the extent that people are going to protest this verdict, they do so peaceably in conformity with the First Amendment. I'm a big believer in the First Amendment. I think everybody has a right to express their opinion, but they have no right to engage in violence or destruction. I think that the problem in this country now is that we live in a culture of violence which is not just acquiesced in, but encouraged by the mainstream media and by the current government. I mean, we have Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Maxine Waters in connection with the Derek Chauvin verdict all saying.
How are How are they encouraged?
Maxine Waters stood out in front of the Minneapolis courthouse and said that if the verdict doesn't come back the right way, that the people should be even more confrontational. We should get out in the streets. We should be even more confrontational. How much more confrontational can you be?
But why do you think the mainstream media is wanting violence? Because I don't think, I don't know if you consider me mainstream media. I don't want violence.
Well, no, but I know that, for example, none of the rioters from last year, from August 24th and August 25th in Kenosha, got arrested or charged with anything. The guy that pulled his gun on Kyle Rittenhouse, Mr. Grosskreutz, he didn't get charged with attempted murder. He apparently was carrying a weapon that he was not allowed to carry because he was a felon. I don't see him being prosecuted for that. The media encourages the violence by not denouncing the violence. You had Hawk Newsom talking to Eric Adams last week, or maybe earlier this week, the mayor-elect of New York, saying that if they go back to the old style of policing, meaning effective policing, that there'll be riots, there'll be fire, and there'll be blood in the streets. And that gets reported as if it makes sense, as if that's a world we should permit to exist. And Hawk Newsom doesn't get arrested for inciting violence, doesn't get arrested for threatening the people of New York City. No, he goes on Dan Bongino the next night and refuses to disavow violence. And that's the problem with the country today, that we have a government and a media which acquiesces in the violence and mob rule. We have reporters standing in front of burning buildings and exploding cars, calling things a mostly peaceful protest. We had the people, and I'll go further, there are people sitting in solitary confinement.
Get mad at me.
There are people sitting in solitary confinement cells in D.C. right now for no more than trespass. Solitary confinement now for over 300 days, some of these people, and for no more than trespass. The 300 to 500 people that broke down my gate, stormed my house, threatened to kill me, raped my wife, burned down my house, burned down my office building, not a single one of them have done a day in jail. And that's a disparate treatment of the mob from honest citizens.
Here to support Kyle Rittenhouse?
Yeah, actually, I came here to support justice. That's the specific reason I'm here, and I knew that he was on the side of justice. From watching the trial, from all the information that I was able to gather throughout the plethora of news channels, watching the trial, I just believed that justice would be served, and exactly what happened.
Wait, you said justice would be served, so you believe this was self-defense?
I believe it was self-defense, absolutely. Anybody that watched it couldn't come to any other conclusion, in my opinion.
I wanted to bring in, though, Jill Ferguson. She's from Milwaukee, and she was here to support a conviction. Jill, how are you feeling, and what are you thinking right now?
You know, I heard the verdict on the way down. We were about 15 minutes out, and I don't even have the right word for it. The immediate feeling I had was doom. I think that this is one of the darkest days in American history. This isn't just about Kenosha or Wisconsin. We just legalized vigilantism. Vigilantism is sport killing. Kyle did not come down here as a medic. You know, he's not a medic. You know, he had a Fisher-Price medic kit. He didn't come down here for that. He specifically said he was coming down to kill, and that's what he did. And
but when did he say he was coming down here to kill?
There's video of that all over.
Oh, you're talking about the video from 15 days before at the CVS. Yep,
and
he said he wished he had his AR-15.
Yep, exactly. So he's a sport killer, and a child sport killer. What age now are we going to say vigilantism is okay? Because they just made it okay. And he was a minor. What age are we going to do? So we better start making vigilante laws then. When you can be a card-carrying vigilante. It's a dark day for this country. The hate that the former administration let out of the bottle, that genie is not going back in the bottle.
But what do you say to the other side who said that a lot of things about Kyle were mischaracterized and that they believe he did act in self-defense, and this was politicized by both sides? I mean, Joe Biden, I guess, tweeted out he was a white supremacist. The attorneys said in court they didn't find anything on his phone to support that, anything like that.
He made the signals in a bar with his KKK friends. So yeah, and he's held up as a hero. His mother is held up as a hero. They had a big banquet for her in Waukesha, Wisconsin. She's a hero for allowing her son to do this. What have we become? What have we become? You know, I just keep thinking of that show, This Is Us. This is us now. This is us. And it's horrifying me. I have 8 grandchildren. I have a great-grandchild on the way. And I'm scared to death for their future. I'm scared to death for my future. I mean, I have been this since I was 12. I was born intolerant to all injustice. I'm now afraid to come out to this. So with this verdict, my right to the First Amendment and free speech is gone. They're already making laws making protesters rioters. I'm not a rioter. I've never rioted, but now I am viewed as a rioter, and they are viewed as coming in to keep, peace and order. What? There's no such thing as law and order in this country anymore. It's lawless and total disorder. And I am horrified that they have made these 3 men to be, exposing their criminal records, their this, that, the next thing. You know what? I don't care what they did before August 25th. On August 25th, these men were superheroes. That could have easily been that could have easily been a mass killing, another American mass killing. I wouldn't throw myself in front of somebody with an AR-15. If anything, they were defending the crowd by trying to get the gun away from a child with a big boy semi-automatic weapon. They are heroes. I don't care what they did before. I don't care. And two of them are dead. So to speak of the dead like that is ludicrous. And poor Gage, who did come down here as a true medic, he is a true medic, came down here, and now he's got his arm blown half off, and he's got to live with that memory for the rest of his life. This is America now. This is us, and it's horrifying. It's a dark day for American history. That the unbridled hate is frightening. And like I said, there's no putting that back in the bottle. It's out. They're proud. They're proud. Look at all these. They're proud.
It was the video that shocked the nation. An unarmed black jogger, 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery, gunned down in broad daylight. The 3 men charged will now stand trial. For live gavel-to-gavel coverage of the trial, subscribe to Law and Crime on YouTube TV today.